Welcome to Coach Bennett's podcast, where every run has a purpose, where kindness is hardcore, where this is about running, and this is not about running, where every starting line is a finish line in disguise, where rambling still gets you where you need to be, where pineapple will never ruin your pizza, and the sodas, adult and not adult kind, are always cold, and where there is room on the starting line for everybody. I'm Coach Bennett. Thank you for letting me be a part of your day. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Coach Bennett's podcast. This one is called Do the Right Thing. And before we get into Do the Right Thing, I've got a couple things to talk about. One is I spent, 6 days down in Miami, and I was there for the marathon and the half marathon that took place over the weekend. But I'll tell you what, it was about so much more than just the racing. I got to go down there and check out the Brickell Run Club Tuesday night run. So I got to see Coach Frankie and the team down there, and it was amazing. Close to 1,000 runners for the Tuesday night run. Absolutely awesome. I'm always amazed by the running communities in some of these cities, and Miami is one of the best. So welcoming, so diverse, so much joy. It was just such a great night. And then the next night, Wednesday, I got to go to the University of Miami and speak to 2 business classes and the University of Miami Run Club, which was awesome. Got invited to speak about leadership and some of the coaching philosophies and principles that I stand by, stand behind, stand for. But, you know, these talks are so much fun, and I hope I give, something beneficial to these students, to these young athletes, to these young runners, to these young people. I hope I give them some hope and some wisdom that I've earned over the years, but I'll tell you what, I get so much more out of it. I get so hopeful spending time with these, 20-somethings, because they're the ones that are going to take over, and I'll tell you what, I can't wait for them to take over, because the adults of the world have done a really horrendous job being in charge for the last 30-plus years. So I can't wait for this next generation to take over. So had a great time at the University of Miami. The next day, there were a number of events that were taking place throughout Miami, obviously in anticipation of the marathon and the half marathon. But I also got to spend Friday night with 2 high school teams and a great young runner, Liam Murphy, who's one of the best young American distance runners. And that was a great time. Any time I can spend time with the high school runners is a great trip for me. I love that age group. I love that level of athlete. There's so much optimism and perseverance, and it's just, you've got a little bit of everything. You've got athletes that are just being introduced to the sport. You have athletes that are elite, truly elite, and the team aspect of it, it's great. It's so good. And then there was the shakeout run on Saturday. Hundreds and hundreds of people. I mean, I'm guessing 600-700 people were there for the shakeout run. Again, another opportunity to spend time with this great Miami running community. And then there was race day, and race day was a blast. I hung out at mile 12 during the half marathon for a while, and then I hopped on a bike and headed down to mile 22 and set up camp there for hours. And that was just, as it always is, just so inspiring. I mean, I hope all of you people know just how inspiring all of you are. And, I know you're stopping and you're giving me hugs and high fives, and I'm giving you hugs and high fives. And, you're saying thank you to me. I try to, not rudely, but I try to cut you off a little bit and just make sure you understand just how inspirational and motivational you are to me. I get so much more out of this than you get from me, okay? So thank you. Thank you to all the runners that were truly giving their best on a hot and humid day. As I told a bunch of you, listen, if you're running a marathon, you're a badass. If you're running a marathon in Miami, you're crazy, which means you're a crazy badass. So cheers to all you crazy badasses that were running the half and the full marathon in Miami this past weekend, and thank you for letting me be a part of the community for so many days. The other thing I wanted to talk about before we dive into the actual episode is Do the Right Thing, the movie by Spike Lee. If you've never seen it, okay, you can thank me after you watch it. Truly one of the best 80s movies, period, full stop, send the telegram, absolutely amazing. And I would just recommend that the next movie you watch, if you've already picked it out, great. But the movie after that should be Do the Right Thing. And if you're looking for a movie to watch Do the Right Thing. Absolutely amazing. So let's get into this episode entitled Do the Right Thing. Now, the reason for this episode, the impetus and inspiration for this is, I don't know, the world, the week I spent in Miami, just the fact that I got to spend time with young athletes, with students, that I got to spend time with adults. This is a message for everyone, and it is one of the cornerstones, one of the foundations, one of the pillars of my coaching philosophy, which is just do the right thing. And this was given to me by a number of different coaches that I had the luxury, the privilege of working with over my career. So this isn't something I've thought up. It's been out there forever. There are people whose life philosophy is do the right thing. And guess what? Those are good frickin' people. I personally think do the right thing is not just a great foundation for any coach as they enter into coaching or as they put together a training plan or as they work with athletes. It's also great for athletes. Yeah, it's a really sound philosophy. I mean, it makes sense, but I think when you say do the right thing, you know, people immediately think about the moral side of it, which absolutely, yes, lead with that. Lead with morality, okay? There aren't enough people that lead with morality. Yes, there are more people that lead with morality than don't, but I will tell you, until everyone leads with morality, not enough people lead with morality. So, yes, from a morality point of view, it makes total sense as an athlete, because the better person you are, the better athlete you're going to be. Yeah. Now, some people will say, oh, well, what about this athlete? He was a terrible person. You may be right. What I'm saying is he would have been a better athlete if he was a better person. That's what I'm saying. But there's also just the sound training choices you make when you do the right thing. And it's important to note here, early in this episode, that it's not always easy to do the right thing. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is the right thing. But whether it's easy to do or hard to do, the right thing is always the right thing to do. So that's an important thing to start with, and that's why I wanted to kind of drive that home right away, because I want you to remember that throughout this episode, that the right thing won't always be the easiest thing to do, but it will always be the right thing to do. And this goes into the decisions you make on a daily basis as an athlete, as a runner. I mean, I'm not trying to be cute when I tell you in the training plans that the job I have over the course of whether it's 18 weeks in the marathon plan, 14 weeks in the half marathon plan, or it's 8 weeks in the 10K plan, that my job honestly is to get demoted to assistant coach. And the reason why is because you know you better than I know you. And you know you better than I will ever know you. So the point is, if you can become a better coach for you, then you have the best chance to be the best athlete you can be. What that means, though, is you're going to have to start making decisions. And on every single guided run that I make, you know, people will say, thank you for this run or thank you for this coaching. You make every decision. You do. I may bring up, decisions that you could potentially make. I may ask you a question and tell you to decide something. I may bring up scenarios, but you have to figure out which scenario fits for you, which decision is right for you, which decision to make. It's you. You're the head coach. You're the one making the choices. And what
happens in that situation is you then have to decide what the right thing to do is. And you're not going to be right all the time. This isn't about being perfect. You're never going to be perfect. But you can get closer to a perfect score. And I think that should be the goal. Like, consistently make more and more right decisions and less wrong decisions. Now, I said you're never going to always. Does that make sense? You're never going to always? Yes. You're never going to always make the right choice. You're never going to have a perfect score. Yes. But the other thing that's important is there aren't always perfect answers. The right answer doesn't have to be a perfect answer. It needs to be the right answer. You could say, like, well, hypothetically, it would be great if I could do this. Well, if you can't do this, it doesn't matter. And I'll give you some examples. All right, you're feeling like you're getting sick. Should you go for a run? Well, there's no straight right or wrong answer here. There are answers that may be more wrong than others, and there may be answers that are more right than others. I don't know if there's a perfect answer. I will say, though, that if you feel like you're getting a little run down, what would the right thing be to do? Well, let's think about it. Let's pretend we're a coach. Well, if you feel like you're getting a little run down, do you think you should adjust the run? At a minimum, should you adjust the run? Or should you continue to do what was planned? Now, from a coaching perspective, I'm looking at consistency. I'm looking at long-term, mid-term, and short-term. Short-term meaning tomorrow. I think we have a better chance at having a better tomorrow if we don't act like you're not run down, if we don't act like you're not a little sick, if we don't act like everything is perfect. Because things aren't perfect. You're not feeling good. You're feeling a little run down. Let's make an adjustment. There's lots of different adjustments we can make. We can, lessen the distance and keep the pace that we were going to do, or we could maybe slow down the pace and keep the distance. We could lessen the distance and slow down the pace. We could take the day off and maybe do something else. Maybe we get on the bike. Maybe we get on a Stairmaster. Maybe we get on an elliptical. Maybe we just do some light drills and call it a day. Maybe we just watch some cool races from the past. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, an old world championship cross-country race from the 80s. Or, maybe we watch Eliud Kipchoge at the Prefontaine Classic and the 2 mile. There's so many different things that we could do if we wanted to do it. And the question is, what's the right answer? We can figure it out. Is it the perfect answer? No. But the wrong answer would be not adjusting, I think. The wrong answer would be, you know what, I don't feel good. I may be getting sick. Let's actually push it today because there's a chance I won't run in the next couple of days. I mean, those are wrong answers. That's not the right answer. Ignoring reality is not the right answer. Not taking into account your health is not the right answer. Those are wrong answers. Do the right thing. Listen to your body and try to make an informed, intelligent decision. That's doing the right thing. And when you make a choice, the right choice, the right thing to do, when you decide to do it, you need to know there's no expiration date on that. Anytime you do the right thing, there's no expiration date. It's not 3 weeks later where you think, you know what, I didn't end up getting sick. I should have just done the run that was planned. No, because maybe, just maybe, the reason why you didn't get any sicker, because guess what? You were run down, all right? And when you feel run down, when you feel fatigued, when you feel tired, there's a really good chance your immune system is compromised, which means if we pushed you on that day, if we didn't adjust, maybe your immune system was so compromised after that you did get sick. We made the right choice with the information we had at the time. We made the adjustments. That does not expire. Now, I will say this, the wrong choice, doing the wrong thing, well, that also doesn't have an expiration date. And the reason why it doesn't have an expiration date is because you don't need an expiration date on something that's already spoiled. Doing the wrong thing, the bad thing, the cruel thing, the horrid thing is never, ever anything but spoiled goods. No amount of time is going to change that. 2 weeks, 2 years, 20 years, when it ends up in a history book, you're not going to look back and say, hey, that cruel, evil, callous, wicked thing is now no longer any of that. No, it is always going to be the wrong thing to do. And the thing is doing the wrong thing in a lot of those situations. I'm a history dork. Majored in history at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. What's up, Tar Heels? One of the best history programs in the world. And yes, I'm biased, but I'll tell you what, I'm not wrong. You can look it up. One of the best history departments in the world. I then taught history for 7 years at the high school level. Taught world history, 20th century history. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. One of the things you realize when you're a history dork, the past is never totally behind us, because the past is what influences the present. And the present, which will someday be the past, influences the future. I think it's a very important thing to remember. And it's crazy when history gets taught the wrong way, like a timeline, which really makes me sad, because it's just these amazing stories, these powerful stories, these stories that you can learn from. But if you just break it down and think about it, because sometimes people will say, like, oh, it's just the past, who cares? Well, today, what you do today has an effect on tomorrow, does it not? And most people, I think, would agree, like, yeah, well, of course. Well, tomorrow, what we did today is the past. How can you not understand that history is just an entire collection of todays? That's what it is. We teach it as yesterdays, but I think it's really important to understand that all of those yesterdays led to all of those todays, which then became more yesterdays, which all influenced our todays, and I can guarantee will influence tomorrow. And that's how you need to look at your life, okay? So when you're making those hard decisions, but the right decision, when you're doing the right thing, just remember it's going to age really, really gracefully. My favorite parts of history are when we're reading about something and the students will say, wow, she was brave to do that then. That must have been so hard to do. And they're saying that because she did the right thing in a world where it was excused to not do the right thing. You could have said, well, look, it's the 19th century. What did you expect? Well, some people didn't take that as an excuse. And then I also love the fact that they looked at it and they said, geez, how did everyone allow that to happen? Why were people quiet? Why didn't people stand up and say something? Why didn't people fight back? And again, they're thinking from today, looking at yesterday, wondering why people didn't. And I'm hoping that's registering. So they know at some today, maybe in the future, maybe in the present, they may have to stand up. They may have to shout. They may have to fight back. And I know I'm getting suddenly very deep about history, but I think it's important for you to realize you are a part of your own history. The most important timeline you will ever be a part of is not the one that's about geopolitical concerns that are going on or anything like that. It's your personal timeline. It's your decisions. It's your big moments. It's your situations where did you stand up for yourself? Did you stand up for your family? Did you stand up for what you wanted to do? And yes, I know I'm still going deep, but this is important because it ties into the running. This is about running. This is not about running. And what you need to remember is that if you can consistently do the right thing in your running, it's going to bleed into the rest of your life, I think. If you can do the right thing, which isn't always the easy thing, it's going to bleed into the rest of your day doing the right thing when it's not the easy thing to do. So remember that. The right thing has no expiration date, okay? The wrong thing is already spoiled, all right? All right, next. This is something that's important because I used to tell freshmen when I started teaching them that they don't need to earn my respect. This was on day one. I said, you don't have to earn my respect. I'm going to give you my respect. Now, you can lose it, okay? Absolutely, you can lose it. But I'm just telling you, right off the bat, I don't know anything about you. I respect you. Now let's see what happens with this relationship. Start with respect. It doesn't mean you need to end with it. Now, when I say that, I'm saying that about respect your decision-making ability. Respect other people's decision-making ability. Respect other people. Respect yourself. Now, actions, those verbs, how people carry themselves, the decisions they make, well, that can diminish the amount of respect you have for someone to the point where you have no respect for them. This could be coaches you're working with, teammates that you are a part of a team with. This could be you. You don't respect the decisions you've made in the past, and that's okay. There's a period of time where I look back and I go, wow, I don't respect who I was during that period of time. I was not making good decisions. I was not trying as hard as I could. I was not being a great teammate. I was not who I could be. I didn't respect that version of myself. And you know what? Looking back on it, when I say that I didn't respect that version of myself, well, I was making terrible decisions because I didn't respect myself. It was much easier to make bad decisions. It was much easier to not do the right thing. And when you're looking at your training, we'll take this back straight into running. You have to start thinking of yourself as someone you respect. And when you're making decisions, you need to think, I'm making a decision as someone I respect, so I should respect the decision I'm making. Would you respect the decision to take the day off when really you're just being lazy? Would you respect the decision to go for a run when your shin's been hurting really bad for a couple of days and you haven't taken any time off, you haven't seen a PT, you haven't gone to a doctor? Do you respect that decision? Do you respect the decision to not celebrate a breakthrough? Would you respect that decision if it was someone you really cared about that was new to the sport? Or had spent a lot of time in the sport and they finally had a breakthrough and their immediate reaction is to diminish the breakthrough, the barrier being broken. Would you respect that decision? I don't think so. So why would you respect that decision for you? Remember, start your relationship over today by respecting yourself. Start relationships with people that you've never met before by respecting them. And like I said, start with respect. That doesn't mean you have to end with it. There will be people in your life that will lose your respect because not everyone does the right thing. I'm not talking about people who, made the wrong choice one time in a minor thing. I'm just talking about people who make life choices that, guess what? You don't have to respect everybody. But I think you need to start by respecting everybody. You don't need to end up respecting everybody. I do think you need to start respecting everybody, though. All right, here's another one. You need to take care of yourself. That's doing the right thing. Taking care of yourself is doing the right thing. Now, if I leave it at that, there will be some people who will say, well, that sounds very selfish. No, I'm not talking about taking care of yourself in spite of other people. I'm not saying take care of yourself and allow other people around you to suffer. Taking care of yourself doesn't need to be selfish. It can be selfless in so many ways because by taking care of yourself, you're giving yourself the best chance to be able to take care of other people as best as you can. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, again, respecting yourself, respecting the recovery you need, making sure you are finding those pockets of joy in your life and rest in your life so you can recover, so you can recharge, so you can come back to a starting line and help other people. That starting line does not need to be a starting line that leads to a run, but it can be. You will be a better teammate if you're taking care of yourself. You will be a better family member if you're taking care of yourself. You will be a better neighbor if you can take care of yourself. If you are always diminished, if you are always exhausted, if you are always stressed out, if you are always putting yourself last, even when you're alone, you're never going to be able to take care of the people that you care about as best as you could. So, take care of yourself. That's doing the right thing. And this, yes, has an absolute straight arrow into training. You need to take care of yourself. There was a kid on one of the teams I coached that took entirely too many intervals. Just always was taking the interval. And it got to a point where, we had to tell him, like, get in the back. Like, I know you feel like you're helping the team, and you are helping the team. But if you're not going to survive this season, then we can't take advantage of you later in the season because you've taken advantage of yourself so many times or allowed others to take advantage of yourself so many times. There is no advantage to what you can give anymore because you're pooped, you're exhausted. We need you around for you to be around to help. So make sure you're taking care of yourself. It is an incredibly selfless act if you think about it in that way. If I can take care of myself, I can take care of others better. And this doesn't mean that you need to sacrifice your goals or limit how far you're going to go. I think you get back way more when you help others. You just have to make sure that you're not giving up so much that you're not even strong enough to hold on to carry, to take advantage of what's given back to you. Okay, I got another one for you about doing the right thing. And again, all of this, I hope you're bringing it into your running and your training, and I hope you're bringing it to beyond the start and finish lines of your runs. Empathy, I believe, is a sign of emotional intelligence and emotional maturity, which means that if you're not empathetic, that would lead me to believe that you are emotionally unintelligent or emotionally stupid and immature. That's what I think. Now, I'll go to the dictionary because I love the dictionary. It's a great assistant coach. And I looked up what the synonyms for empathy were. Okay? So listen. And there are people out there, clowns. And you know what? Actually, I shouldn't say clowns because there are great people that are clowns out there. They're like professional clowns that bring joy. These aren't clowns. These are idiots. There are idiots out there that mock empathy as a weakness, or they say toxic empathy. These people are stupid, okay? And they're probably grifters, and they're just trying to make money. Here's the thing. Here are the synonyms for empathy, okay? Compassion, understanding, insight. Those are the synonyms for empathy. Is there something known as toxic compassion? Toxic understanding? Toxic insight? No, unless you're an idiot. Here are the antonyms, the opposites of empathy. Indifference, mercilessness, unfeelingness, insensitivity. That's the opposite of empathy. I don't want any of that. I want the opposite of those things. I want to be empathetic. And if you can be empathetic, you're going to be a better runner. Absolutely. You're going to enjoy the sport more as a fan. And that's one of the best parts about our sport. We are empathetic to the struggle of a runner. We are empathetic to the journey and all of the trials and tribulations of a runner. We are empathetic to the ups and the downs of a runner. That's why this sport is so great. We understand. We have insight into what a runner is going through, which is why, regardless of where you finish in a race, you, as a runner, know what the runners are feeling at any point, at any pace in that race. The runners that were coming by me at 9 a.m., were feeling the same things as the runners that were going by me at 11 a.m. How do I know that? Because I hang out on the side of the road and I talk to all of them. That's how I know. Yeah, I've got some insight into what a runner running 2 hours and 30 minutes says at mile 22. I have insight into what someone running 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, 7:30 say as they're getting to mile 22. And it's pretty much the same stuff. which is why our sport is so great, because we are empathetic with each other. Do not leave that at the finish line. Carry it with you beyond the finish line into the rest of your day. All right, I got another one. You've heard me say this before. Hand the baton off in a better place than you got it. Hand the baton off in a better place than you got it. You want to know how you can do the right thing? Live your life that way. How do I enter a room, a job, a classroom, a situation, a conversation, a convenience store? And when I leave, it's a better place than it was before I got there. It can be something as simple as just telling the person at the convenience store, you guys are so nice here. Thank you. Like I did today at the Shell convenience store right here in Portland. And guess what? It's because it was the truth. They were so kind. They were so nice. I got a coffee. Well, I got my car filled up with gas, and as I was going in, I went to the full service. It was the only place that was open. Normally I do self-service because, why not? But I had to do full service because that was the only one that was open. And I came over, and the young woman came up and said, what do you want? I said, fill it up with the regular. And I said, I'm going to go inside and get a coffee. And she goes, remember, you get a free banana when you get a coffee, which, by the way, is awesome. So I go inside. The dude behind the counter, as I walk in, he's like, how you doing? And I was like, I'm doing great. And he's like, good to hear. But not just, it was so cheery. It was so nice. And I came with the coffee. He reminded me to take a banana. And I said, you guys are so nice here. And he's like, oh, we appreciate it. And I was hoping by saying that he realized that his job matters. It made my morning better. There was a halo around my morning for an hour after that. I came in. I told my wife, Tammy, I said, they are so nice at Shell. I was in such a good mood. And I'll tell you what, when I left, I wasn't in the best mood because, one, I had to fill up gas in the car, and two, I didn't have coffee, and I make coffee every morning. So I was like, I got to go buy coffee because I didn't want to go to the store. Anyway, I'm rambling. The point is, hand the baton off in a better place than you got it. That is a great life rule, but it's also a great rule as an athlete. When you show up at practice, when you show up at the trailhead to meet your friends, can you leave that whole situation, that run, that experience better for having you been there? And there are so many ways you can do that. Now, if you think about all of this, it comes down to really verbs, man. I mean, I think, we get lost in titles. We get lost in positions. We get lost in acronyms next to people's names. These 3 letters and those 3 letters and those 2 letters after their name. Aren't they so impressive? Yeah, well, you know what's most impressive? The verbs in people's lives. The actions. That's what I want to know, because the verbs make the nouns. And those verbs that make the nouns, they're the ones that decide the adjectives that will describe those nouns in your life, those people, those teams. We are nouns, okay? Technically, actually, we are pronouns. Technically, we is a pronoun, but you get my point. What you do is who you are. And if you do the right thing, you're a good person, and you're going to be a better runner. That's what this episode is all about. So thank you for listening. Thank you for coming back. I know this is coming out on a weird day, but next week I think it's going to be coming out on the correct day. I think it'll be coming out on Thursday, which is what it's been for 2 years. So anyway, thank you for listening. If you hear some pitter-pattering, that's my dog Millie wandering around. I said, Millie, can you be quiet for most of the episode? She said yes, and then I freaked out because I was like, I didn't know dogs could talk. And then anyway, here we are right now. She's wandering around, and she's making a racket. But maybe you hear it, maybe you don't hear it. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for rating. Thank you for reviewing the show. And thank you for taking care of yourself so you can take care of each other. I'll meet you at the next starting line. Thank you so much for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast today. And if you haven't already subscribed or set yourself as a follower to the podcast, I really hope you would. And make sure you check out the show notes, because in those show notes, you're going to find a link to Coach Bennett's newsletter and all the social media sites I'm on, like Instagram and Threads and Cameo and Blue Sky and nope, not on that one anymore. So all the ones I am on, you're going to find it in the show notes, so check that out as well. And as always, Thank you again for listening to Coach Bennett's podcast. Until next time, you keep taking care of yourself and each other.